Right, let's get into the next discussion now. The Senate has opposed the sale of Tafawa Balewa Square and the National Theatre, all located in Lagos.
Indeed. Well, the federal lawmakers are asking the Nigerian government to preserve the two buildings as national monuments by providing future budgetary provisions that would redevelop them as viable tourist sites for the country. Now, the senators described the history behind the TBS and National Theatre as too rich and significantly linked with the development of the black race to be disposed to private interests for purposes that may not promote Nigeria's culture and even history.
All right, joining us now to discuss this is a social commentator, Olukayode Salako. It's good to see you.
Good morning.
And compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season to you too.
All right, we have
to all of us in Nigeria.
Yeah, to everyone across the world listening and watching us. Now, there was a protest recently when there was when the report came out that government wants to sell the National Theatre and the Tafawa Balewa Square. And now we see the Senate saying, please stop. Now, make us understand. When the protest came up, they said, no, they don't want it sold. They want it to remain as a national monument. But these institutions or these monuments are not taken care of. If you go there, they live in the past glory and all of that. What's your take on this?
Yes. There is nothing that has an advantage that does not have a disadvantage. Okay. Those who are proposing to sell this national monument are Nigerians like us. They are Nigerian leaders who should also value the preservation of our national historical monument. They are not aliens. They know the value. But at the same time, there must have been reasons, you know, for them to decide to say, okay, let this national monument be in the hands of people who can build the right values for them. The problem that we have in Nigeria is that our social infrastructure, our public infrastructure are not being taken care of. We don't build the right values for them. For example, I have only been to the National Theatre once in my life. And I'm sure you don't wake up in the morning and think about these places.
Anymore.
Anymore.
Exactly. Anymore.
We used to. Anymore.
That's a good one. Anymore.
Why? It is because we have lost the values we are supposed to place on them or build around them along the way.
But would you blame the people for that? Because these are under the responsibility of the federal government and they've been abandoned for years. Apart from the Tafawa Balewa Square that sees some form of activity is, once in a while. We know Lagos State government uses it for trade fair every December, sometimes for crusades like the experience. So would you blame the people really for abandoning the structures that are not even active anymore? And when private organizations are springing up new attractive spots for them to relax?
Well, some of us will say the government does not have any business in business. But at the same time, we cannot continue to watch all those national monuments just become decayed, just dying like that. So the people who have considered handing them over into the hands of those who will value them must have put certain, things in consideration. Now, what is the problem with the management, the running, valuable running, productive running of our national monument? It is all because Nigeria only places value on money. Anything that does not have money, we don't care about, we don't pay attention to it. So, maybe the National Theatre no longer brings money the way they are supposed to be bringing it. Or maybe Tafawa Balewa Square no longer doesn't bring money. So, attention has been shifted away from them.
Well, the common saying is you have to spend money to make money.
Yes.
Does the federal government spend money in the first place on this monuments? You expect making money from them?
I am coming. You see, the National Theatre in an ideal country is not supposed to be sold at all. So it is even an embarrassment that our federal government can come out to say some of our national historical monuments, infrastructure, we are selling them. It simply shows that our value system had long been sold. It's been sold out. Put some of these social infrastructure, public facilities, put them in charge of Nigerians, or put Nigerians in charge of them to manage. The mentality is that, oh, since they are public facilities, they belong to the government, so nobody owns them. They manage them anyhow. That was what led to the death of the Nigerian Airways. That was what led to the death of the Nigerian Railway Corporation. And even our refineries are not functioning, are dead. Because the people that are put in charge, instead of running those facilities for the benefit of every Nigerian, for the socio-economic benefit of Nigeria, they want to run it for their own benefit first. And in the process, they run them down. Now, as I said earlier on, the federal government wouldn't have just sat down to say, let us sell this monument. I'm sure it is a difficult decision for them. But like a man who has a house, you have a property, and you are getting old. All the children you gave birth to, all your children are not interested in that building. And you are still alive, watching your property, what you labored for, decaying, becoming moribund, and you don't want it. And the next thing that will come to your heart is, since my children don't have interest, let me sell it instead of losing it after all, totally. Let me sell it, collect the money, and continue to use the money to survive. And still be alive and be seeing that property being properly managed and run by people. After all, I will still leave this world one day. That is what I feel is happening. But in my own submission, I think this national monument should not be sold. They shouldn't be sold. Rather, the federal government should work on an arrangement where this national monument could be kept in trust, historically in trust, in the hands of Nigerians who are going to be professionals, who are going to be able to build the right values for it on private partnership arrangement. The PHCN was sold. Our electricity distribution, system was sold. It wasn't sold completely to private hands. The government still has a substantial amount of, stakeholdership in it. So, if that National Theatre is so important to us, if it is so important to the Nigerian Senate, the Nigerian lawmakers, I think what the arrangement should be is, instead of watching those national monuments continue to be redundant and dormant, the federal government is looking at how they could be bringing in, how the right value could be built around them, and they could be bringing in returns to the coffers of government.
All right,
so,
let's take the National Theatre, for instance, for example. We had the chairman of the Performing Artists Association, or as the case may be,
Performing Arts
Practitioners of Nigeria. We had him here, and he's one of those who is also opposed to the selling of these monuments. But we are asking, one question I have to ask is, all of them, all the artists and all of that, what do they do on daily basis with those at the theatre? What do they do?
The fact is, the value, the economic value of the National Theatre is lost.
Okay.
The economic value of the Tafawa Balewa Square is lost. But those values could still be rebuilt.
Okay.
If they could be handed over to those who know their values and can build the right economic values around them. Those who will not go and run them for their own selfish reasons, if it is still going to be in the hands of the government. Because, as I said, our problem in Nigeria is not the problem of running those monuments. Our problem is it has always been in the hands of greedy Nigerians,
I was about to say
self-centered Nigerians, who will run it for the collective survival of the Nigerian society, but for their own selfish reasons.
It seems it boils down to mistrust, really, on the part of the people, that whenever the government comes out to say that this is to be done, that is to be done, it is for the selfish interest of those in the annals of power. Like you said, PHCN, Nigeria Airways,
they run it down.
have so many examples of privatization gone wrong. What really now is the way forward? Many people are saying that don't sell. The Senate is saying that don't sell. The government wants to sell with little information as to why they want to do this. So what should be the way forward now, apart from that option of giving it to private hands to
Let us pick some of the advantages, some of the elements of the advantages, and match it with some of the elements of the disadvantages, and come to a center point conclusion that let it be about PPP, private partnership project.
Private partnership.
Private partnership venture. Let the government identify practitioners, those who can build the right values for those monuments, those who can continue to run them to generate money, hand it over to them on maybe commission basis or maybe profit sharing basis. Okay, every year give the government this amount and you take this amount. Our interest is that the values of this national monument must not die. We want to continue to preserve their relevance, their historical relevance to Nigerians, to the consciousness of Nigerians and the whole world. But don't let them die. The way those monuments are being run, it's not encouraging. So give it to people who can run them. Tell them to pay a certain of money into the coffers of the government. But meanwhile, give them a substantial
incentive, maybe.
stake.
Oh, okay.
Sense of ownership stake. Because if you give me something to run, and I don't feel I own it,
like 30%,
I don't feel it's my own. I might still run it the way Nigerians run public facilities. Infrastructure Nigeria. So give those people a
sense of responsibility.
Yeah, give them the sense of belonging, sense of ownership to an extent, so that they can handle it the way they would have handled their own ventures, while the government still continues to gain, and while the historical relevance of this monument is still being preserved. Those who are running it makes money. Nigeria still retains their monument, and the government still gets
and everybody
money.
Is happy.
Yeah, because we know these are some of the kind of monuments people travel to the United States, travel to across, even to China.
You are talking about ID countries,
and you're very happy to snap pictures, selfies. You know,
ID countries.
Exactly. We can make ours ideal, like you said.
Countries where human life is ideal, human orientation is ideal. It is not ideal here.
All right, thank you very much for your analysis.
Our country is still far from civilization.
Okay.
Of course, with the hope that it gets better as we enter the new year. Thank you very much.
With ideal leadership.
All right.
Quality people, decent people.
Absolutely.
We'll
thank you. Thank you for your analysis. Olukayode Salako, social commentator. Of course, Nigerians are saying that we don't want our monuments to be sold. Thank you for coming.
I also don't want it.
Thank you very much
for
coming.
Thank you for having me in the studio.
Compliments of this season.
Thank you.
All right. Before we go, certainly let's give you a rundown of some of the stories that made headlines or are making headlines today on the papers. We started with the Punch newspaper. It is reporting EFCC, the alleged 669 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrests finance chief of Goodluck Jonathan's campaign. That is one of the stories on the Punch this morning. All
right, so the Daily Sun. Senate stops $1 billion Boko Haram fund No money will be spent without due process. That's according to the Senate President, Bukola Saraki.
And if we move to the Guardian newspaper, it is reporting lawmakers kick as Senate shifts debate on the $1 billion fund. You can get details on the Guardian this morning, certainly.
All right, on the front page of the Vanguard, still about the Senate talking about the 1 billion naira to be removed from the excess crude account. Another prominent story here is, I have never forged tax papers in my life. That's according to Innocent Boss. It says, receives heroic welcome in Enugu. I have not been briefed on his arrest. That's according to Abubakar Malami, the Attorney General of the Federation.
The issue of Innocent Boss has been lingering for the past few days. All right, now this is where we come to the end of today's edition. But we tell you it's the last edition for the week. And the beginning of next week is going to be Christmas on Monday and as the case may be. Now, we have special edition for you on Monday and on the Boxing Day. So on that day, sit down, sit back and relax for the special edition. And the special edition will bring you high points of some of our discussions on this show through the year. So it's going to be 2017 in retrospect. So it's going to be a very special one, and just sit back and look forward to it. It's going to be very interesting. So we say have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and a happy holiday. I am Mike Okwacha.
And of course, remember, if you're traveling, drive safely. Be careful. If you don't have money to travel, stay back and enjoy your festivity here with your family. I am Aziza Tolalua. Thank you for watching and happy Christmas. Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas
in advance.